All right, we're live. Welcome everyone to Table Talk, where we talk all things tabletop. I'm your host, the Bella Gamer, with my co-host Glue Boy.
Hello.
And it's been a minute. Life has been busy for me lately, so it's been one of those things. In fact, I believe. It probably won't be a problem, but I think in a couple weeks on a Thursday, I'm getting a crown put in, but I think that's at like 4 p.m. or something. So. Should be fine. It's
fun to bring up, because I'm gonna be gone on the 2nd. I'm finally gonna be able to visit my folks for like a combo of birthday and Father's Day for my parents.
Okay.
But we haven't been able to go out there in a while, so it's the planned trip. We finally got the work time to do it.
But for today's conversation, I think we're entering into a very great era of TTRPGs where people are getting spoiled for choice of like good options. There's a lot of ways to play TTRPGs, and I think it's going to be an interesting conversation to talk about what people want in a TTRPG anyway. So we'll get into that here in just a bit, but if you're watching post-stream, we usually do a little bit of small talk before, everyone gets in. So check in at like around the 25-minute mark. So while everyone's kind of jumping in the chat, Alex, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been on some content stuff. I've been pushing for some videos and the like. I streamed yesterday, which was fun.
I saw that.
Talked about all the vampire clans. And, which is also funny, because I woke up this morning to a copyright strike on that stream. I use, like many YouTubers out there, Carl Casey the GOAT, good old White Bat Audio, for just making good background music. And someone else, a different company, claimed that the song was theirs. Like one of the songs in the 4-hour playlist. So I just disputed it. And like submitted like, hey, I'm actually well within my rights. This is the rules of the copyright holder, and you don't seem to be them. So, I mean, more than likely what happens with these strikes is they filed the claim and hope you don't want to deal with like the counter, and so they'll just let it sit for 30 days. That's usually how these resolve, but it's not like it's like a stream. It's not like it's gonna be bringing in the big bucks, but I would love it solved before, in the off chance, because I'm gonna cut it down into a video, and I'd rather it not get claimed again.
Well, if you make a separate video, it could get claimed again, unfortunately.
Yeah, and which is also extra annoying because I've used this specific playlist many times, and it is the only one it's been claimed. And it's not even like a clear like.
Are you properly adding White Bet in your description?
Yeah, because it's not them claiming it. I've had one where I just straight up forgot and added it after the fact. I just never disputed it because I was like, yeah, fair enough. It's like a weird little stream. I don't really care about it. But I did the proper description, and it's claimed by a separate company. It's not claimed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so it's someone else like trying to steal it, basically. Like it's an actual publisher, but they're trying to say they own the rights to this when they just don't.
Right.
And so it's the bit where I'm not concerned, because I feel like if it was actually a real thing, it would all my other videos with this same song in it would be claimed. But it's like a 2 or 3 minute portion of a 4.5 hour playlist, or like long compilation. Honestly, be more annoying for like White Bat Audio, because some random company is claiming they own your shit. Specifically when you're trying to make music that is for this purpose.
Yeah, it's really annoying. I really wish YouTube had a more stringent like copyright claim system.
Yeah, like I get the reason it is this way. Like it saves YouTube from being culpable, because I feel like if big companies were like, oh wait, we can, if we push, we can get YouTube money, like they'd get worse with it, instead of like just trying to take the revenue off of a tiny video. and they kind of have to have the position of, yeah, we'll just side with like the claimant until something comes through. It's not perfect and it's annoying. The big one I would love if you were penalized for false claims.
Yeah.
If you had a record of false like claims, then your claims were taken less seriously.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would help a lot, but the problem with YouTube is we're talking on magnitudes of millions of things happening at once, millions of videos, millions of copyright claim things coming up, you know.
Yeah.
AI and all that bullshit. So it is what it is, but yeah, it would do better if there were more like strict punishments for false claiming stuff, because there just really isn't. So
yeah, because like all it is right now is they can just endlessly do it without punishment, and like which is what they currently is they just file out the claims like on an automated system. They have something that tracks it, or an intern that like, this is flagged, let me submit the claim, and then it's not at all worth their time or money to actually dispute or counter dispute. So they just, all they're doing is like, well, if they might just not, because a lot of people don't want to, they're intimidated by it, or the other version, which is they don't want to deal with the you have to put your full name in it, which is the thing. If you're gonna do big YouTube stuff, it's not a bad idea if you're concerned about like your private life and private identity and shit, to counter these stuff with like a lawyer as a proxy. So that way you don't have to release your personal info. Instead, it's your lawyer's contact info.
Yeah. I think because of the variety of TTRPGs, there's a lot of opportunities for video games. True. Yeah,
I think so.
Though the hard part about that is unless it's indie, you're working with a problem that is, people won't know what your game even is. They're not going to be like, oh look, it's a game based on the Cosmere RPG, and like know what that is intrinsically. Like Cosmere maybe would be good, but like the RPG would confuse a lot of people. And it's even worse for less known games.
I can see there's some games where it sells, in the case of like, you have Baldur's Gate, which is just huge, but also like you have Pathfinder, where Pathfinder, like Wrath of the Righteous and Kingmaker, are considered two of the best CRPGs ever made by a lot of people. And I imagine, and a chunk of them talk about it in the way of like, they've never played Pathfinder, but they really like the CRPG.
Yeah.
And like, it can serve as really good marketing. It's just, you have to make something of worth. It's the problem. Because you can also get in the situation I think Shadowrun is in, where a lot of people will say the best way to play current Shadowrun is by playing the video games. Because, like, who's going to play the real-life version? I think, from what I've heard, the company has kind of been really bad about Shadowrun.
Yeah, they have. Which is sad, because Shadowrun has a very fun universe.
I like the setup of Shadowrun a lot. I think it's like really neat. It's just, I'll be mean about Shadowrun. I think the rules kind of suck, like, and just how they operate. But like, I think the setting is super cool. Like, I like the split they have. Like the specific form of Decker that Shadowrun has, I think is one of the coolest I've seen of like the hacker cyberpunk type.
Yeah. And then I like to see high-quality virtual tabletop systems on consoles and mobile platforms. I don't know. Maybe mobile would be good, actually, honestly, because I'm in a odd enough situation where I come into... We play my wife runs a game, but I have to watch the baby, so I'm playing usually from the living room and don't have the ability to be on the computer and use Foundry and all that kind of stuff. And Foundry's phone capabilities is terrible.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised.
I wish it was better for mobile. Consoles, I don't know. Honestly, maybe. But the hard part about, I think what would make a good virtual tabletop would be something where you get a lot of free like capability, like moving pieces or whatever, or you could have it where it's programmed to, operate like a TTRPG. Like a lot of the big TTRPG sites out there already are really good. The problem is that you need to dedicate people to produce like the programming for individual games. So bigger companies have a lot better running games than smaller companies. And unfortunately, like, virtual tabletops would be the perfect way to get smaller games out to people in a much more easy and digestible way when you have something that can kind of like handle a lot of the grunt work that comes with running a TTRPG. But, they don't have the money to dedicate teams of programmers to do so, which is really sad, because I feel like there'll be a point in the future, maybe AI will play a part in this, where they'll be able to drop in their rule set into like the program, and then they'll be able to auto program like a whole virtual tabletop system.
Like, I think even at the absolute bare bones basic, one element I do think could really help a lot of smaller tabletop companies is try to follow in like the footsteps of what CompCon is, because I think like because it's not even the fact of like, oh, we have a really good like virtual tabletop, but if your game has a really good compendium and character builder, I think those are the two things that can really boost how much people get your game, because I think CompCon, more than it serves as like a GM and player tool, I think it serves really well as an advertising tool. Because if you can send someone, hey, are you interested in like in Lancer? Hey, here's all the information for the game, so you can look through all the cool art and the cool stuff, and there's a character builder right here. Like, that is it is harder to do that because you have to make the investment of creating a good web page and like program or app or whatever. I think it is invaluable to do that. I think Legend of the Mist genuinely should make a mobile app, like some web page mobile app, because I think they would get a lot of good press from it, like, and push from it, if they had a character generator, a character holder, something like Path Builder, as well as like having a thing in that app where you can easily do the solo play. Not even not have it full automated or whatever, but if everything runs in like a gameplay loop, having it so like you can set up the gameplay loop to just push you in like exactly how to do it, that'd be a really good step for new players too.
Yeah, honestly, like, the more I think about it, I believe more TTRPGs just need to put their rules out there for free.
At least like the player's side rules. I understand the split of here's the player rules, and if you want anything deeper, like GM stuff, like then you buy the book.
But I mean,
like, I think
like specific rules, like a virtual compendium that shows like everything, tells you how to play the game, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it's good to have, world books that give a bunch of lore and information, like your setting stuff and your GM tips and all that kind of stuff. Make that stuff that players need to buy, but more games just need to put their games out there to be played. They kind of need to go almost a free-to-play model in the sense that rather than going like an absurd battle pass or whatever, it's better if you have ease of access to your game so that people get it and get interested and then buy stuff. Because like here's a weird thing that like a lot of developers, especially in TTRPGs, don't seem to understand. People will waste their money on your products even if they don't need to, if they like it or the idea of it enough. Like,
yeah, you got to make the goodwill. It's the it is specifically the thing where you build really strong amounts of goodwill. You can get a lot of people to spend extra money on your shit. Like the most like non-tabletop like corporate version of this is Dropout, the streaming service. The only variant like self-made indie like streaming service I think that has worked and is actually good, because I pay for it, who literally created a higher tier that gives you nothing for your subscription. It's just people kept being like annoying about, we want to give you more money to support the shows we like. And so they made higher tiers that do literally nothing except give them more money. And then you can do the same with tabletop, because we're in a market right now where the large amount of the market share for this industry is by blatantly a very greedy company that is trying to solve the question of how do you monetize tabletop gaming, because the answer is that it's actually kind of hard to do that, like, effectively. The only way to do it is the D&D Beyond subscription model.
See, now, I disagree. I disagree with the idea because, as I just said, people, if they like your thing enough, will just spend money on it for no reason. I think what TTRPGs should do more is just make more, like, cool-looking stuff, interesting stuff that people can buy when they're interested in your product enough.
Yeah, I think a big step that helps with these companies do that effectively is by building really good amounts of goodwill with the community, which, if we look at what games in our community are viewed with, like, the most customer goodwill, like Paizo, for example, and all the steps Paizo has to be very consumer friendly, that then makes, myself included, like, yeah, I'm more willing to spend money on this, as well as the fact that tabletop in general is an industry held up by the whales who just collect everything. But
yeah, well, I don't even
if you
think you
build
need
up goodwill, people want to spend money on you, like, way more.
I don't even think you need goodwill. There's so many backer kit and Kickstarter stuff for TTRPGs that fail, not because people don't spend money on them. In fact, a lot of people do spend. A lot of people, it's actually quite a problem in the TTRPG space. A lot of people are spending money on these Kickstarters, and then they're just not doing anything because the people who, just anyone can make a Kickstarter, and most of these people aren't, like, proficient at it, and so they get it and they're like, oh shit, what do we do? This means we have to actually do work. This work is a lot harder than I thought, and they usually flop. But, like, there's a lot of people out there who just want cool, interesting TTRPGs. And if you have cool art, if you have cool product, if your game promises to allow you to do something interesting, then people will spend money on it. It's like crazy, right? If people can spend money on the idea of a TTRPG existing, there's so many more ways that you can introduce, like, digital products or even physical products that you can, like, order online that people will just buy. I don't think rules are not as desirable if they already, like, have the game, or if the game isn't, like, piquing their other interests first, right? Like, there's so many TTRPGs out there that even I love TTRPGs. I collect TTRPGs. There's just a time where I look at a game and I'm just, like, judging a book by its cover, because honestly, unless I actually have time to play it, which is very rare, like, I want something that at least excites me to own. Be like, oh, I could play this, and that would be very interesting. But if your book's very basic, or if your art direction isn't very clear, or if your game just doesn't look like it's going to let you do anything really cool, it's just not going to get bought up as well. So it's just like, there are so many things. And honestly, like, I think Alex, you had a really good point with ComCon. If there was literally just a website you could go to, and you could have a profile, and you could spend 99 cents on, like, fucking custom art for your profile to dress it up for your favorite TTRPG game, and just have, like, some kind of community element on your website where that stuff is relevant, people would spend money on that kind of dumb stuff like crazy. They do it in League of Legends. They do it in a lot of other games. Like, people, yeah, they buy character skins, but they also, like, buy icons and stuff for their accounts as well. So it's like, you just need to make things that people can, like, feel good about having, and that look cool and that look interesting, because I guarantee there's a lot of TTRPG players out there already who are just LARPers who don't get to play, but they really like the idea of playing. And so whatever you can present to them so that they can own to feel like more connected, I think would do even better.
And an element of that, because like I see with the chat, like books, DIY, and things that are useful in other games I think are appealing. Like I'll also add in one thing if you want to juice up your sales in a fun way, which is the more business cynical version of this. Unique dice that you can only use for one type of game. Like that is how you juice some extra sales. And if your game is good enough, people won't look at it as, oh man, I see you're trying to make me buy dice and a book. It turns into like, fuck yeah, cool unique dice. I'll shout out the Star Wars game like I normally do, because that game, can you play it with D8s? Yeah. Do you want to? Because the actual like, all right, I got a 2, a 4, and a 5. Did I get, how many successes is this? How many failures is this? That's annoying. Instead, you can just use the official dice. Or they also sold an app, like $2, and you get a mobile dice roller. As well as Vampire the Masquerade or World of Darkness does the same thing.
Yeah, when I was into World of Darkness back in the day, I bought all of the like special dice for each of the systems.
Yeah, I got some in my desk right now, which is also because I had some. I then like basically gave them away, and my cat played with them. And then the same company later offered me like, hey, here's the dice. Here's some really good dice. It's like, shit, I bought this from you 3 years ago. But yeah, like it's good to have those dice. It makes the game like a little smoother, and it's the part I keep talking about with tabletop games is at some point the part the human interfaces with the dice is like the gameplay, and a dice system can get you immersed. I mean, it is you playing the game by rolling the dice. That is gameplay.
Most people play digitally where the dice barely factor in.
Me clicking the dice button and seeing the funny dice roll and getting excited because I almost crit or I almost crit failed is part of the gameplay.
I
am
mean,
still
somewhat sure,
playing.
but like so fractionally small for most people.
I mean, the main gameplay is imagination play, but the part a human interfaces with is the dice.
I rarely, unless it's like Genesis, right, the Star Wars system, because it's like actually the like core mechanic in the game. I don't hear about the people playing these games talking about how cool the dice are, or what
they
the
play
dice
D20
system
games.
does.
They play D20 and think that's the default.
I've played many different games, even in World of Darkness. They're not World of Darkness. Well, in World of Darkness, yeah. They're not like, oh yeah, I get to roll 5 D10 for this check. You know.
I'm not saying people are like going crazy, like acting like it's the best part of the game, but the dice system and the dice you use does build on top of what your game is. Because aside from just the math thing, I think there are some games that if you're trying to make a game that feels chaotic and crazy, and you want to hit that in the way a person plays the game, a way you can do it is by having a lot of dice you're rolling at a time, or exploding dice. And like that is how you add in that element of, oh shit, things can just pop off and explode and go chaotic in a moment's notice.
Yeah, they can be a part of the system. That's not what I'm arguing. There's just a lot of games out there where it's really irrelevant. Like, I love Legend in the Mist. Honestly, whether it's 2d6 or whatever, doesn't really faze me whatsoever. The coolest thing for me in the system is how tags add to your checks, and that's like the reason why you play the game.
It is a thing of when a game opts into having a more unique dice system that basically isn't just the normal D20 dice set that you can buy at any store. I think you gotta have a good reason for why you're making players want to buy a unique dice for that only. And the games that do it really well, which I'd say Genesis system and like World of Darkness, I think it adds something to it to have the dice for that game, and the way that the symbols actually work in everything. There's a part that it is more engaging and immersive to see you got bestial crits in a vampire than oh boy I got a 10.
Right. No,
there's
I
something
agree
that
with that
pulls you in.
for sure. I think paraphernalia like that are huge. Though I gotta say, Legend of the Mist has dice for their system, the Acorn dice. I'm not super interested in the Acorn dice.
Like, it sounds like all I can think of is that it works like every Warhammer dice ever, which is the good ones do it this way, the bad ones do it the other way. Pay attention, dice makers. Where the crit, your 6, is the symbol of like whatever faction you're repping. Or is like for the tiny dice, it's usually a skull. Then there's some bad dice sets that decide to put the symbol on the 1. And so then you have to train your brain to get sad at your faction symbol, which I think is really stupid. But like that's the only way I can think of this acorn dice, is that it's just that. Like, oh man, I got an acorn, that means I got a 6.
Well, no, they don't even have like acorn symbols. They're just in the shape of acorns.
Oh, okay. Why?
Yeah, that's it.
Good for them, but why?
Because rustic fantasy, right? They wanted nature-y themed dice.
Does it still roll like a d6?
Yeah, I think it's like a prism die, you know, where it's like has like a point and then 6 sides that rolls. It's not like a cube.
Let me look this up. I want to get a peek at this.
Just not aesthetically my thing. Anything that increases immersion is good.
Okay. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I think this is a fun novelty.
Yeah,
like this is a fun novelty, but looking at it, this isn't something. This is like a good product you should put for your tabletop game, because this is something that if someone wants that extra layer, it's great for them. But I look at this and I'm like, unless the acorn like style of it adds something to the game I'm playing, then like I don't really need it. Yeah. But like I think that shape is cooler. It's higher. It looks higher quality than I pictured in my head. Like, I'll be real.
Yeah, they've done a lot, and you know what? Yeah, poetically says anything that increases immersion is good. I agree, so. And I agree, but also kind of differently, right? It's not necessarily immersion, though I know a lot of people really appreciate immersive elements, but more, like, for instance, I think CompCon is like top class when it comes to presenting a interface for your character sheet and for everything that feels really interesting and makes the game more interesting, just because the visual appeal is so good. And
visual appeal, and like if you are into Lancer, the fun of CompCon is that it does feel slightly in universe. Like, there are little elements in there that feel like you are accessing a database in universe, and like that is an extra step. Is everyone going to feel that? Probably not, but it's an extra layer for the people to like build extra appreciation for CompCon.
Yeah. Because honestly, I think one of the things that hurts a lot of TTRPGs in a digital sense, and even in a physical sometimes, is like their character sheets are not super interesting to look at. They're not very like flavorful. They might be like well designed, right? A lot of people really go for that kind of thing, but they're just not interesting, right? Like your character pages on CompCon are interesting to look at, are very interesting. I mean, the old anima character sheets are very interesting, but like it would be cooler if you had like some kind of phone app, some kind of program that presented to you a very like interesting to look at, very like good art, very good like immersive kind of quality of digital design for your character sheet, so that when you're playing the game, you're looking at it and you're getting that visual association with the game you're playing. Because honestly, something that I've experienced is some disconnect with the game I'm playing, because it's all like in mental space, and I don't oftentimes have like something I'm looking at when I'm playing these games, you know, or the thing I'm looking at is very basic, right? Because like on Roll20, on Foundry, there's so many character sheets out there that are just kind of basic, just kind of not interesting.
I think here's the idea that's floated in my head, and it ties into my dice point, because I don't think I have a word in my head that I don't know if it's fully this extreme, but like I wouldn't even say it's a like immersion question that you're seeking, but that we want for this. I think that the less a game offers you friction points, and friction can be like that of this character sheet is clunky and like a little weird to use.
Yeah.
This character sheet like doesn't flow really well, because like the anima sheet, I think I've never been able to connect to like the digital stuff, like because there's the Excel sheet that we have that like Q made. I don't like it because it's harder to flow, and I think how the anima character sheet being 4 pages, it lends itself to what the game anima is. There are like, I think the actual basic sheet, the default sheet for World of Darkness, is really good because it's just like 1 page. A lot of information is delivered really simply, like right away. Like there's a lot of those elements. I think the Foundry page for Legend of the Mist is really solid.
Yeah, it's pretty okay. It's not exciting, but
it could be a little better. But like it right now as it stands, I don't feel the friction of it that I felt with like some of the other horrific sheets we've used in our time.
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing with dice. Is like if you're playing a game and it's calling for something in like specific, like you're playing World of Darkness and you're playing with D10s instead of the unique dice, it's not like a make or break point for you, but there's an element where you're looking at it and it says like if you have 5 successes it's this and 3 failures, and you look at the symbols and the symbols don't match up for the dice you're rolling and what the rules are saying. There's like that slight tiny bit of friction that like you could get pulled in a little bit more, and having your game have the least amount of friction points in just the disconnect between I am playing the game versus like what I'm seeing the game. If both of those are in sync and feel in sync, I think Lancer has probably hit it really hard. Lancer Foundry has hit it incredibly good. It is insane. Like CompCon and then the jump to Foundry feels so good, and that's shouts out to the modding team. I would also say Pathfinder on Foundry is also really good. Because to my knowledge, Paizo supported it.
Honestly, I don't like the Pathfinder 2e one too much.
Really? I like that sheet.
I mean, it's well designed, don't get me wrong. It's really well designed, but it's a very digital like character sheet is what it really reminds me of. It's very digital character sheet. There's no like art or anything really with it. It just presents the information clearly to you, and there's just no character to it. It's like quality but no character, and I feel like that's something that I wish more TTRPGs had, is because like CompCon has character, even though it is, you know, meant to be like a digital representation, right? How they color scheme a lot of things, how the actual like images look, it looks really like visually interesting, but the Foundry Pathfinder sheet really doesn't. It just looks like an information spreadsheet that looks well designed, right? And it looks nice, but it just doesn't have any character to it.
I think because I'm thinking about it, and like I don't disagree, obviously, because it literally is that. It's a very, when I think of default character sheet, it's there. Like that's one in my head. Because I think for me, the part that pulls me in with the immersion friction and like 0 friction points with Pathfinder on Foundry is the least amount of time trying to figure out where my stuff is on the sheet so I can plan a tactical turn. Because I view it in that tactical game sense. To where if I'm playing a game that is very, like if I'm playing Legend in the Mist, or like a very narrative heavy game, and then I feel like the sheet is literally just printing all of the information I need, like there's no color for the Legend of the Mist one, because it is very basic. I think it could get spruced up a bit. Yeah. But like I think it's better than what it could be. Like then I'd be like, yeah, this is a disconnect, because sure, I can get my information just fine, all the tags, better than like a Google Doc that I've made character sheets with. But like spruce it up a bit. This is a narrative game. Let's make the sheet have some leaves on it or something. For some tactical games, if which I think you can very easily do this because CompCon and Lancer does this. You can make it look nice and look indicative of the game you're playing, as well as giving you all the information you need at a moment's notice. And then some, sadly, are like, let's make our sheet really crazy and like decorative. And it's like, okay, now you've made it a visual mess to find it.
Yeah.
So
you
like
don't want
Pathfinder, if Pathfinder gets some good designers, like visual designers, which I'm so happy they did for the actual like revised core books. Like I wouldn't be sad if they took a second pass at the Pathfinder sheet on Foundry.
Yeah, which they're not going to do because Paizo's in a lot of financial problems right now because they got super screwed over. So,
I heard, yeah.
So hopefully that gets fixed. But yeah, and this kind of just like leaned into our topic already, which is why I didn't really stop us, because that's something I want in more TTRPGs, right? I want more... Like, I want good art in my games, right? That's just something that I think everyone should want. The art in a game is a visual representation of, like, the experience you want. And if they have good art and it makes you care, like, I gotta say, the art in the Legend in the Mist books are so good. Are so good. Like, honestly, even better than, like, the D&D and Pathfinder books half the time. Just because... Not because the art is bad, because I do think the art in D&D and Pathfinder are good, but because... And this might just be because of fantasy stigma, but they just look like standard fantasy art that you find in a lot of places, because this is, you know, D&D is what a lot of fantasy is kind of based off of.
Yeah, like, I think that at least, like, Pathfinder has a better visual identity, because there's like a style I see that I'm like, that is Pathfinder. And the worst case about some designs in Pathfinder's art style is that some don't hit as good as others. Like, I'll say I'm sad it's not even the iconic, because the best necromancer art piece is that woman with the scythe.
Yeah,
like that is just the best one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I hate the is it the commander? Strategist? I don't...
Commander is the... Also, you know what's... It's so funny, when you look up Pathfinder Necromancer, the first thing that pops up is the woman with the Oziark.
Yes, it looks... Yeah, it's like, the commander. Side. The commander iconic looks bad to me.
Let me find, which one is that?
It's the orc woman. Whose neck is thicker than her head.
I see what you mean.
And gangly arms, and also really tiny feet for some reason.
Like, my first thought for her is that's not a commander. It's like, right. I don't immediately jump at commander. It's just Paizo has an issue, I think, of making two character designs, putting them next to each other, and you look at the other, like, damn, that's a really good Guardian iconic.
Yeah.
And then I look at that and I'm like, I don't immediately jump to Commander. But like, if I saw that character design somewhere else, I would be into it. I just don't think it's representational of Commander. Like, I like that design. I think she looks cool.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't think it looks bad overall. I think it's not exciting as a character idea for me, though.
No, it's just conventionally attractive fantasy character. Like, is largely what it is. But
right.
So in that case, it serves it. I just think for the iconic art that you should want is something that immediately puts the visual idea of what the class is meant to be. And some of them just don't hit that mark. Others, I think, do. Yeah. One of them that I see all the time, I really like the cleric iconic. Like, that is a really good, like, design. Immediately screams out that, like, I can tell it's some form of, like, religious character. The art that's actually with her is really cool. There's one where she's like fighting a scorpion, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
There's like I think the fighter one. She's like the front of the world book. like there's a lot of those. I think it's good when you can have that art that jumps out and screams to you what it is. This is also a slight thing I had on my stream yesterday. I'm really happy that we might be getting a Vampire the Masquerade 6th edition soon. Maybe it's either that or it's like an update for 5e. But
Yeah.
we'll know with Gen Con. One of the things that they promised for this next thing is they're going to have a focus one on the meta plot again. Thank you. I like the meta plot. It's goofy and insane. But they're also going back to hand drawn art because I think one of the biggest elements of 5e having the flack it has is that 5e's like book layout and just art direction fucking sucks so bad.
Yeah.
I hate the art for 5e Vampire. It looks awful having like the weird photo composites.
I don't know. I think it's fine, but it's very hit or miss. There's a lot of pieces that work good, and there's a lot of pieces that look very like different, or like they don't. The problem is they chose like a very stylistic art style, and then they don't have all their art feel like they're of the same style, and it
there's some
feels
of it
very
where
discordant.
they go like photo composite abstract, and there's some parts like that where I'm like, okay, I like this. Like there's one, I think it's the Ravnos. There's like a character in 5e Ravnos that I think looks good. And because it's composited really well, it's very stylish, it has like a really nice background. There's a lot of those parts. But then the one that gets me is every single clan in 5e, when you look at it, has like a lineup of 8 examples of the type of like who the clan is, and each one looks the exact same flavor of like goth or like meth head. And so I look at it and like nothing of this screams like vampire to me. But then the hard part is I look back at what 20th anniversary Vampire is, where I think 20th anniversary has one of the strongest immediate art styles, because like early editions had a really fun like rough sketch vibe that I like, but 20th is like comic art. It looks like something you'd pull out of my first thought is a fucking Todd whatever, a Spawn. Todd McFarlane, that's it. He like, it's very strong line art, bold colors. There's a character design for every single clan, and when I look at each individual clan art, I can immediately tell you what it is and what the vibe of that clan is. And like that is super strong design, and that is I think super important for your game. You can have a cool art style, but the other aspect it should do is if you're going to make a representational piece, you need to make a lot of care that besides just looking cool, it immediately tells you what the vibe of it is.
So art, super important. Character sheets, also I think something like, if it's something you're going to look at very frequently, looking at that thing should make you think of the game. Like honestly, a lot of game companies out there, I don't have one on me, oh I do, here it is, are really good at designing GM screens. And I love GM screens because you get all that art, and usually the inside has art or a style reminiscent of the text from the book, you know, characters, and usually the backs are really good. Honestly, Anima has a really, really cool GM screen.
It does.
And I wish that same kind of amount of effort. I mean, to be fair, right, it's hard to do that for something that physically is expendable, like a character sheet, right? Character sheets are something that when you make a new character, you need a new sheet, obviously, and there are companies out there that do sell like stylized character sheets. Like Paizo actually does this. It's really cool. But I feel like if you had a digital site like CompCon where you could make your character and run your character from that site, I think that would work really well. And of course, like, have a good print version of your character sheet as well. And I'm okay if your print version is more on the simplified, like artistic but simplified style. But if you have people who are going to be really getting into your game, and since so many games now are taking place digitally, I think just having a actual like website dedicated to making a character sheet, and then you can just program a linking function in so that it can go to a TT or a virtual tabletop, which several sites do, like Nexus. is just like mandatory. You should do it because like you want people to like your product. You want people to like your product and to think it's cool and to think it's visually interesting so that they buy stuff that reminds them of this or is also cool and they want to have. Like that's how you monetize TTRPGs. It's not, you're not going to have one product that's going to sell and make all your money. You want to have 15 other products that make you money individually, and then when it all comes together, you are actually making a good amount of profit.
If you make it as literally easy as possible for a person to play your game, like it does nothing but endear, and then it's like, yeah, let's spend more money on this. Let's go crazy. Because it's just, there's a big element of business stuff. One of the biggest things is just oftentimes, if you want to curb people like not buying your shit, pirating it, doing whatever, it's ease of access. It's an accessibility issue a lot of the times. So the more you give opportunities to things and to people and let people try your game out for free, it's going to make it more prevalent in their minds. It's going to make it more available, and everyone's going to be talking about it, and you will make more sales from that. It's good. It's a good thing to do. I would imagine there's a big thing when it comes to, it's the solution what Wizard of the Coast came to, because I mean in their documentation when we were dealing with OGL stuff, there was an issue where the execs were upset that like, yeah, you get a book sale and that carries the entire group, but like what if every single player had to buy the book?
Yeah.
That's why they turned to a subscription model, because that's how you monetize every player who plays your game. And then the other direction a lot of people go in is the, I don't know, let's make our game really easy to play so then people will buy more extra shit. And I think that is a better model.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a there's definitely a lot of ways, but we should now turn our eyes to actually like what do the games provide. Now, it's a hard conversation, right? What's desired in a TTRPG, because every game is different, right? Every game provides some level of should provide some level of unique aspects that make you want to play the game. And I don't know what universally people would want from a TTRPG, because universally when it comes to video games, a lot of the time, like you could say good UI, right? Like people kind of want good UI in their game because that's just like the thing they interact with or whatever. But TTRPGs don't really have good UI. I mean, they kind of do. That's kind of what the character sheet conversation is really about.
And also I'd say the core book, because if the core book is designed poorly, that also could classify as UI.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, well, not UI, but you know, that's a part of like playing the game, learning the game, all that kind of stuff. Like
if the game is like 5th edition Vampire and opening to find rules is annoying, I think that is something that could be fixed with the design patch.
So many sessions, and I still had to scour the book every time I needed to find information. It's crazy.
It's crazy because like the other WAD books already have their issues, but like the WAD books notoriously are sequential information. If you have the PDF and you want to find your stuff, more than likely you just scroll down and like you will find it, because like it's just delivered like that. And then the 5e book is, well, the feeding rules, there's 3 pages on different chapters you have to turn to learn how to feed. It's incredibly stupid.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like the thing is, a lot of people who love TTRPGs are nerds, but a lot of these nerds do not do art and they don't have a lot of money. And so when they make their own games, usually it's the visuals that really suffer. So, you know what? Actually, I do know something I know is universally wanted. We already talked about it, but good art. But rather than art, like, on a character sheet or whatever, art that, like, makes you interested to play the game, but art that also is in direct reference to what is in the game. Because this is kind of the Pathfinder D&D problem sometimes. The characters look cool, are doing things, but what they're doing, what the images are representing, don't necessarily represent the game feel of what your character is doing.
Yeah. The art should jump at you as like, I want to do that, or I want to do that, or I want to be that. And so, like, that is an important thing to try to nail, because good art will inspire the player to want to play your game and play different things of your game.
Yeah.
Like, if something connects with them, that's a good sign. If they look through it and they're like, wow, the pictures are pretty, and like there's not really any inspiration that hits of like, or even a thing where you can point at and be like, that is my favorite, then like I think you got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. I love the art in the Cosmere books, don't get me wrong, but the problem with the Cosmere books a lot of the time is, especially when they're showing the Radiant Paths, they're just showing them in their shard plate, which is an end game level thing that they have to work up to over a long course. So it's something that they can't even like, that's not even really accessible to most games, because your players have to play for a significant amount of time to get to the shard plate. And what they should have done instead, and they did this a couple times, but they needed to show more examples of the surges being used by the Radiant Paths rather than the surge section, because the surge section shows characters using that surge, which is good.
Yeah.
But that's not the character options, right? That's the information section. So they should have had each of the different Radiant Paths using their surge binding, doing cool things, so that when players look at that, they're like, oh, that's really cool. Not just the person in their shard plate, because when you play the game, you don't get your shard plate for a really, really long time. And there's a few of the heroic paths as well are not super actiony or interesting. They just like, here's a character who looks like what you imagined this archetype would look like, and it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. But when you have a game that you want your players to do cool things, right? You want to show the characters doing cool things and have that be very representative of what the character is actually going to be doing in at least like the first 10 sessions of the game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, doesn't have to be level 1, but like maybe like by level 3 kind of stuff. And of course, have the end game cool stuff in there too. You gotta show players what they're working towards. But you gotta make what you are showing be very representative of what the players are gonna have access to, because or it doesn't even have to be character art, right? Because the Call of Cthulhu book series, like RPG books, are creepy, filled with all kinds of flavor and ambiance and everything like that. And the character art is very representative of the kinds of characters you're going to be playing, but you're playing like normal people, right? So they don't have to be doing super cool things. So the book having that vibe of what the game is supposed to be played like, and I think this is probably one of my problems with D&D and Pathfinder. The vibe is generic fantasy, which isn't their fault because that's what the games are. But that's also just, like, when you look at Anima's art, you're like, damn, that's cool, because it's like anime fantasy stuff going on. The characters...
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's similar to something, because it's fun. I brought up points you've made yesterday on my tier list stuff you've made, where I bring up that there's the issue when you just come to like a thing where there is a strength and weakness to being considered and seen as like the generic option.
Yeah.
Like, fighter in Pathfinder is a class that doesn't immediately provoke a cool idea at character creation. It takes more heavy lifting. And so there are times where you have that. But on the other hand, like, there is the strengths of having the basic option. Like, you need those basic options to have, like, it lifts up the other more unique options. But also, there are people who, like, are just drawn to that style and how, like, the basic straightforwardness of it. And they look at all the extra shit and they're like, that's a little too much for me. Like, so the person who will, like, I love just the basic fantasy style, but like once it gets a little too intense, they're like, whatever. There's the strengths of it and then the weaknesses of it. The weakness of it is that like the design identity is really muddled and boring because that's the D&D option. There is not a style that makes me think D&D. And like I think that definitely is their intent because they're trying to hit the broadest market possible.
Yeah.
And then when you try to specify your audience, your game visually is going to be better, but you will be cutting some people out of your market share. The people who are going to look at it and be like, that's boring as shit. I'd rather the game with like a unique visual identity. And so there's like I think Paizo hits it a little better in like the middle ground, but it still is like fantasy art. The only positive is I can at least say Paizo has an art style that makes me think of Pathfinder, which I think is a plus. If you're trying to go in that route of generic fantasy and hit the wide net, I think you still need a design identity that makes me immediately know what game I'm looking at.
Yeah, Paizo really doubling down on their iconics being a big part of their game, I think was a strength.
I think so too.
And talking about some other games, because I'm flipping through some of the games just to kind of look at the ones, and as I knew, the Call of Cthulhu looks really, really good. For good parts of it, I say. There are sections that are just, like, very word-heavy, but... Deadlands, original Deadlands. A lot of the art in the books were representative of, like, old pieces of paper and old tags. Stuff that made you think of, like, cowboy-era heirlooms that we see here now and then. Old cartridges, all that kind of stuff. Like, things that just show up that make you think about the product in general. So, like, good art design, good ambiance in your core book, I think is kind of a must, because otherwise, I know some people might be angry when I mentioned this, you get draw steal.
Yeah, that's the one I kept thinking of. Draw steal, man. It's like, it just bleeds all together.
Like, the cover art looks really good, and then you go through the rest of the book, and it's just mostly black on white or white on black text.
Like, I think some of the actual art pieces and like showcases of what the classes are is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, there are some really dope art pieces for Draw Steel. The biggest issue I have with the system is like, man, that core book is a bit of a nightmare to look at.
Yeah, especially when you start getting to the classes, because like there's a decent amount of art in the beginning part of the book. I have backgrounds. I've gone through 15 pages, no art. And yeah, now this is the worst part. Going through the individual classes. The pages are so bland, so boring. And the worst part is they don't try to integrate their art with the work. They just give you a clip, like an image in like a box frame, just randomly throughout each of the individual classes, and also suffers from the problem of looks like generic fantasy.
Yeah, like you gotta have like varying text, and you gotta have like different I think different color bolding and little boxes and stuff. Like, I'm looking through my PDF list now, and I opened up the Edge of the Empire core book, and like Edge of the Empire core book, the whole vibe is you are playing the rebels in the Empire Age of Star Wars, and like some pages have like laser scorch marks like they were shot. It's got like this light gray back. The bolding is like a brown instead of like a pure black. There's like random pages that they mix the art with the text, like they'll shape the text around the art, things like that. Like, you can't just have, like, I made this in Google Doc style. Like, that's not one that works. There's a visual style to it, because another fun example I immediately thought of is, just a funny fun fact for people out there who didn't know that World of Darkness has a bunch of cookbooks for their game lines.
Yeah.
The best one, I would argue, is the Mage of the Ascension cookbook. Because it's insane, because it's formatted and put exactly like the Mage 20th core book. So, like, you're looking at a cookbook that feels like you're reading a tabletop rulebook in a good way. But like, and Mage uses like a lot of fun borders, like gilded like edges to everything, like a deep purple, like a mystical purple for chapter headers. It is like it does a lot of like white on black, but it mixes it up really hard with really interesting like bolded chapter titles and art intermixed with everything. I scroll and I see the deeper mysteries of deep frying.
Yeah.
In like a purple smoky texture, talking and it's literally talking like, hey, you should make sure your oil is the proper temperature when you're frying something, because you will burn.
Yeah, and Lancer's a very text-heavy book, but they cut everything up so neatly. There's so many colorful headers. Some bits of information are in particular colored boxes in the text. Like, even though they have good art, but it's kind of like spaced out and it's not like integrated necessarily into the pages, the overall page designs and the colors they use are really, really good. And I know we talked like the last half hour plus on just art, but it's just so important, right? Because at the end of the day, when it's like, okay, what's universally good in tabletops, right? You can't just be like, oh, every tabletop game should have, you know, a very crunchy math system, because maybe that's not what you're going for, right? Maybe that's not the kind of game you want to play.
Yeah, because like every game should have a different thing that brings you to it, that isn't just like universal, because it's the same thing with video games, unless you're the type of person to play one game or one type of game. But like, if you're playing something, I feel like there's a reason you should try it, because the thing I get out of some games is just going to be different. I'm not going to roll up to, there's a game I got recently, it's Songs of Styx, which is just meant to be it's like Dwarf Fortress but a lot more easy to understand. And it's really cool, but I'm not playing it expecting to get Path of Exile out of it. Like, I'm getting something different. So like every tabletop game, I'm gonna grab something different out of it, but there are certain elements that I will want to pull out of it. For me, for anything, for any like art piece I absorb, which is such a me, not a universal trait, I just want that feeling of someone who gave a shit and like really cared, because I feel like there's sometimes you read a book and you're like, I feel like you're phoning it in.
Right.
The D&D ones don't feel authentic to me. Like with Pathfinder, like all the extra books, like I do feel how much Paizo like cares about their game.
Yeah.
And, like the way they talk about it is really indicative of that too. And there's a nebulous feeling when you're playing something that is like really designed and like cared for, versus when it's not, or because like that's my issue with Drawsteel. Drawsteel seems cool, but like I don't get that feeling of I need to make my baby perfect. It feels like I'm going to make a cool tabletop game.
I don't know. I feel like it does. I think there's a lot of thought put into it, especially if you read some of the actual sections in it. It's pretty evident that like Matt Colville really cared about what he was designing. It's just, I think, very masked by the very poor layout and design of the book. It feels very like, I don't know what I'm doing, I just made my own game kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the because like definitely, but maybe it's the film thing talking for my brain, where one of the ways I see it is everyone's gonna have your strengths, everyone's gonna have your weaknesses, but like the real passion of it is being able to take your project, looking at what its weak parts are, figuring out how can I patch this, or how can I get the help of somebody to patch this.
Yeah.
Because very collaborative art form like perspective on it. And so the very mean way I immediately think of it is when I see, okay, like clearly cared about all this stuff, but then there's just like one really obvious issue.
Yeah.
And like the fact the issue wasn't patched doesn't scream to me, I really care about this. Because if you cared, you'd fix it. Like if you're willing to put out an imperfect product that you've spent a lot of time making, I don't think you care about it as much as they might say.
And I disagree because not everyone views like artistic expression the same way, especially like in a book, right? Some people like a certain style of book design, and especially old heads, grognards, they liked how some of the older books were presented because they have the memories, right? They have the memories of reading those kinds of books when they were younger. And so art's subjective, so it's kind of hard. Now, granted, saying art's subjective is not an excuse for how Draw Steel looks. It's more along the lines of, I don't think it indicates Matt Colville's lack of passion.
I certainly think that he is passionate about it. It just, the product doesn't scream that. There is a big, very clear flaw of it. If people like the flaw, then good for them for this specific circumstance. But like, I've seen games that are harkening back to the older like style tabletop games and still have really good formatting.
Shadow Dark.
Just, yeah, there's like Shadow Dark, and there's a couple of games like that where it feels like the design intent is to do that, and it's really cool. And like, because Shadow Dark, I think, is a book that is very black on white, but it feels
that's the intent.
Intentional. Like because the spacing is really good. It is just that there is many steps that should happen that should point out, hey, maybe we could take another pass at this, or maybe we got feedback that the book needed to get a better layout that was probably not followed through on completely. And the best answer is to find people that can help you with that, because doing everything you can to support the baby that you've made, I think is a bit more indicative of passion for like the entirety of what I'm seeking for. The ephemeral, it's the Congress porn definition of you know it when you see it, which makes it really hard to argue for. But yeah, it's like there is a feeling, and it's a feeling I don't get from that.
Right.
Even though like seeing Matt Colville talk about it and seeing the actual quality of like what the ideas in there are, I feel it. Bro just really needs to make a new core book.
Yeah, I agree. Which is sad because honestly, I would like to try Draw Steel at some point in the future.
Yeah, it seems like a nice system. It doesn't look like one I'd love, but I feel like we'd have a really fun time with it.
Yeah, what it screams to me, and something that's kind of been getting me interested in it, is it's a D&D like game, but the whole point is to like build tension and adrenaline as you go, because the characters get stronger the more combats and the more things they do between rests, and the abilities show this, and what your characters can do show this. So like everything is ramping, and I think that sounds really fun mechanically speaking.
Yeah, I really like you take the idea of well, this is what everyone kind of wants to do the moment they play D&D, which is they want to have the cool fantasy movie moments. They want to have like that feeling like they're in Lord of the Rings, where they do the big combats and like no one really gets hit, or every attack is a kill kind of vibe, but it's a giant horde of enemies and so it's still dangerous and deadly. Like that cinematic moment where you're still flowing through the battle. And because that's what people want, and then what you get when you play like D&D is like, all right, I stand still and I swing twice.
Yeah.
And like you can get that feeling, and I love that perspective of it. Like that's the design intent, and I imagine it hits that. Yeah, it's just like, man, that's the scroll was so bad when I got the core book.
Yeah.
But it would be fun. I think it would be a really fun like couple sessioner at worst, in like short campaign at best.
Yeah, I think I agree. But yeah, and you know what? Also, I'm going to toss here on this list of things that I think games should do. If we're talking TTRPGs, right? If we're talking TTRPGs and not board games, I want more options or more things that let me like personalize and do fun things narratively with my character. They don't have to be crazy. They don't have to be anything serious. But there's so many feats in Pathfinder 2nd Edition that made me think about this, where I would totally have loved to pick up this feat if it wasn't a choice of, do I want some silly flair or do I want something mechanically good? Like,
something I'll use or something so situational, but man, would it fit the character in the moment?
Well, it's like the cape of billowing, right? A magic item a lot of people love because it's just goofy. It's just like a cape that billows in the wind no matter what area you're in. It has a little dial that you can change how much your cape billows. It's so fun, but when you then get a cape that does something good mechanically for you, you have to give up the fun of the cape of billowing or convince your GM to add the cape of billowings effect to whatever other cape you're getting in order to get the more mechanical beneficial cape.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of magic items that are so interesting and so fun and so goofy, but you're going to trade for something that's going to make you do more damage. And
yeah, like it's a hard one because it's why it's good for video games to have the transmog option, because like you want to have the good armor, but like, man, I have to get rid of my drip.
Yeah. Or just fun, goofy things. Like, honestly, I love the extending rune in Pathfinder, but there's a lot of situations where the extending rune is kind of just not needed / necessary, and you just sit there like, well, I guess I'm just going to get a rune that's going to let me do more damage. Even though the narrative image and flair of, let me twist this thing on my axe, and then my axe extends 100 feet and slams into an enemy, 100 feet away or in the air. Like, that's cool. Does it do a lot of damage? No. Is it action efficient? No, because I think it's 2 actions to activate. Or an action to activate, and then you make the attack. But narratively, that's really, really cool. And it sucks that you have to make a lot of these choices that it's just like mechanically interesting or fun, and you're going to do mechanically interesting / more efficient than fun because we're playing a game, and then you also want to do big damage, right? And big damage is something that also games should do more to make big damage feel like big damage, like damage thresholds where you hit a damage threshold and now the attack does extra effects, like narrative effects to the enemy or knocks them back or whatever. I just want, please TTRPGs out there, especially if you're the more like gamey mechanical ones, give me more free, or at least more stuff outside of the normal progression of just let me get cool things that are narratively interesting, because I love the sleeves of holding in Pathfinder. You have sleeves that can hold up to 2 bulk, so you can put a war axe in your sleeve if you want to. I think that's really cool, but you have to spend gold for it, and a lot of people just don't, aren't too interested in it from a mechanical standpoint. The spiritual sheath that the Magus has as a feat, right? No one selects it because it's a feat, but man, would I love the ability to dimensionally store my items just because, like, there's so much fun, interesting narrative flair that gets completely bypassed for mechanical efficiency. And I think games need to, if you're going to have mechanical efficiency, make that a separate track from narrative flair.
Yeah, like it's the fun of what a skill feat would want to be, and like the issue we have with a lot of feats, how it's designed in Pathfinder, is like it's so focused on combat. But if the game you could keep that level of just interesting feats and interesting selections, but like it should be like there's low free options you get, because it's also where the free archetype stuff hits, because free archetype makes it feel more like good to take some free funny bonuses. Is there still objectively better options for a lot of characters? Yeah. At some point though, like it'll turn into like there are certain character types like I've played where I'm like, there actually is none of like the objectively good archetypes that would make my build better, so I guess I need to go fun. And like the freedom of that, where I'm not wasting any picks to pick something that's just flavorly fun, like that's cool.
Yeah.
And having more moments like that, I think, is just stronger. And the other aspect that can be pulled into other games is I think it should be a want of your system that you could have two characters and two players pick like the same class, same archetype, same something, and not show up with the exact same character. If like two fighters feel somewhat different from each other, and like, okay, these are like two interesting directions that's been taken because there's not just one actual path you got to go through. I think that is a strength of your system because it means you're adding in enough flavor options for both roleplay and mechanics.
Yeah. And you know, I'm gonna hop in. I'm going to talk about Legend of the Mist a little bit because I'm their biggest fanboy. But I think Legend of the Mist does this terribly too, because the main way you get things in the game is through improvements. You know, you improve your character, one of your themes, and then you get to add a new tag. And players are inherently going to look to add power to a thing that they're doing. Now, the game is great because each tag can have narrative flair just automatically baked in because it's contextual. But the choices your character makes are going to oftentimes be focused on, okay, what do I roll? What do I want to be good at rolling? Let's go with that. Because in Legend in the Mist, if you have an appropriate theme or something, you can add like a dimensional pocket to your character. And it's a tag that doesn't do anything because it's not usually used in a roll, but what it does is it gives you a narrative truth. So now your character has a dimensional pocket you can put things into. Like, just having that tag on your character sheet allows you to do the thing. That's one of the great things about the game. But that doesn't seem clear to players, first of all, because tags add to rolls and you want to add things as tags that add to rolls. And when you get an improvement, that's the kind of thing you're going to want to get. But there are lots of different tags that you can add to your character that will not likely be added to a roll, but would be really good to have as a general capability on your character sheet. Like dimensional pocket is a really good example. You'd almost never roll with that unless you were like making a sneak attack by coming up to behind someone and reaching into your dimensional pocket to pull out a weapon. But just having that tag on your character sheet would allow you to use it. So you could put things into the dimensional pocket. And, you know, like there's no actual mechanical effects really other than like the narrative effect. But that's also, again, the kind of a mechanical effect because now you just have the ability to hide an item in there. It's just the game doesn't do very clear, or it doesn't show very clearly, like, the difference between mechanical, like, dice-based tags and non-dice-based tags. And so players are just not going to choose those options.
Yeah, because if I had that idea for, like, that type of thing, my first thought is to try to find what's a way I can meld having a cool mechanic with a +1 to a die roll.
Right.
Like, I would want both.
Right. Yeah. I don't think
especially because combat, that's how combat kind of hits is since you're rolling tags against each other, like it, then the arms race is how many tags can I make sure I'm have positive that's being like taken over the negative.
Yeah, though the game is not designed to have like infinite scaling tags. There's kind of like a cap on tags you're going to be able to apply in a combat scenario. I don't know what that is yet, but there is some kind of theoretical cap. Because there's just like you're gonna have a narratively conflicting set of tags that aren't gonna be able to both apply equally, you know. For instance, Slug trying to intimidate a creature that was bound. It's like, sure, the creature's scared, but it's not going to allow you to hit it any better than you were before because it already couldn't move, you know.
Yeah, like that's just the level of it. It's So it's a design of that, because there are some that I have where it's like when it comes up, it'll be great and it further characterizes who I'm playing. Or also I like the progression of like how a personality can develop. But then there's other bits where it's like, okay, I also need to focus on if I'm doing a thing and I say I'm good at it, I have things to help me be better at it.
Yep.
So that way I'm rolling at least net positive on the checks I need to do.
Yeah, and that's like any game, right? Is like, if you want to do something specifically, you're going to choose options that make you do that better. and that's going to deprioritize things that are just fun or look cool, you know?
Yeah.
So I wish games added more optional flavor tracks of growth. You know, you can have these narrative things also have some mechanical narrative effects, but you should create a game that feels good to have these options and to do these kinds of things and to let players just have goofy things. There's so many magic items I'd love to use, but do I take the frog gloves that let me climb on walls as if I had a climb speed, or do I take the gloves of strength that give me, you know, +5 more damage per hit? Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to climb walls like a frog. That'd be kind of cool. But I would rather hit harder, you know?
And like, I also could have other ways to do that same effect without wasting the slot. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it's a decision you want to put too much on your players. Is you want people to pick what's fun, not what, like, this is cool, but I could do this better.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like, if anything, you have a main power track, right? And then you have the additional ones. Like, if you want cool magic items, have like greater glyphs and lesser glyphs, where greater glyphs are the more power-based ones, but by grace of a certain level of power of magic item, you have lesser glyphs that are more like flair / like slight utility stuff that you can throw in that can't have power, you know, like they're only there for the utility and the flair.
Yeah, and like, it's just not, you're not feeling like you're wasting a slot. It feels like you're getting a fun further bonus.
Yeah. So give us more fun stuff, make fun stuff, you know, let us keep magic items that do really fun, interesting things, and don't make us just focus on doing combat better, because, you know, players are going to optimize the fun out of games. That's just what's going to happen, because it's not that they're optimizing the fun despite themselves. They want to do more damage. Like, they're making the choice because they want the better effect, right? They want to hit harder. They want to do bigger number. They want to be more effective. It just, they shouldn't feel like they need to be more effective at the cost of like narrative flair and stuff that's interesting. You know what? Also, another thing, I think most tabletop games need to redo loot. Make items more interesting and better.
Yeah. So
and
it's
this
just
is
a basic ass +1 or whatever.
This is like universal, right? Like any game, I guess not any game, because there are some games that do loot well. I can't think of them at the moment, but I guarantee they exist.
I'll say Anima's like really interesting magic items that are like those really strong items are really dope. They feel impactful when you get one.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is the setting in Anima, like, you're not supposed to just go into a dungeon and find these types of things. They're really rare. And that kind of plays a part in it as well. I actually really don't like how many magic items you can get in like Pathfinder or D&D, because you get so many, it makes the concept of a magic item just less interesting.
Yeah, it's just a big like economy based around getting cool magic weapons and shit. When like, it's funny because that's something that I think it can be explored in a cool way. I've seen it in Name of the Wind. There's an entire section where they talk about like how the economy of a really cool magic item that's like basically for an adventurer only. It's like, yeah, sick. That's one guy in the world who would buy that and could afford that. But like, if you make a box that's enchanted to be cold, everyone needs that. That doesn't translate to a player side because you are that one person who wants that cool magic item. I think the specific example that that was used in the book is he made a magically reloading like crossbow. It auto reloaded and it like hit twice as hard and it had variable ammo and it was really complicated and cool. But then like no one would buy it because like you got to find the guy who wants to learn how to use that crossbow.
Yeah.
And like it's an interesting point it makes, and it's something that when you look at it, you're like, that is the world building that's I think better. But like if I was playing in that universe and like I couldn't get a magic item at all because like economically, why would they make this? I'd be like, man, I'd love some loot.
Yeah,
that is a setting that doesn't really have like artifact stuff. Like, the characters don't really find anything like that.
yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like one of the funnest things in a TTRPG is when the loot hit rights, right?
Oh yeah.
Like when you've been playing for a while, and then suddenly something drops, and you're like, "Oh my god, this thing is really, really cool."
One of the reasons I'm a big believer of for your game, especially for long campaigns, you know, you can have loot, do random drops and stuff, but in the campaign, I think you should, as a GM, it's a good idea to design an item for a player.
Yeah.
Give them something that is like a step up to where like, oh fuck, it feels like I found the legendary I built my character around. And that just enables what they want to do. Like, I think that is a really strong thing to do.
Yeah. Also, man, like especially in Pathfinder 2e, I just wish a lot of magic items were punchier. They just did more. Because, I mean, to be fair, right, they integrated loot into their power scaling, which I think is fine. But it makes getting new loot less interesting. Because unless
I think it's better than the alternative, but still.
Well, I don't, because I think there's an alternative that's better. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like when you play, you get far enough in Path of Exile, where you're just like, loot isn't interesting unless it fits your build perfectly.
Yeah. I think more it's the type of game Pathfinder is, I would be really disappointed if like the game broke because like they just didn't do anything to, or like didn't focus on the balance of what these items are. But like there's an easier middle ground that you can find, like obviously, but like it's better than not putting any thought into it. Like say for example another D20 fantasy game, which is I think way worse with its magic items. Like fucking D&D magic items are D&D magic items. They're stupidly expensive. They're pretty still common. You just can't buy them, but they're so common and they're underwhelming.
Yeah.
I have yet to see like a D&D magic item that wasn't homebrewed that I thought was good.
Yeah. I mean, like, what Maze Anima, and to be fair, Anima, you guys don't get a lot of loot, or at least not how I ran the game before. I've been changing that, but what made the loot good is, let me pull up one of my favorite magic items here. I mean, there's also lawgivers, which lawgivers are really, really cool as an item in general. Where is Shaft? Dunkelschwert, there it is. Yeah, Dunkelschwert. So this is a sword. It's a really nice sword, cuts, you know, like metal like butter, all that kind of stuff. But it fuses with your body, becoming more like a parasitic entity. It's an unholy weapon, and you can extend from your body not just one blade, but up to 9. And the blades move in accordance to their master's will, allowing you to make multiple attacks, each separate attack only with a -10 penalty, and all kinds of stuff. You get this sword that like fuses into you. It's an unholy sword, and then you just get to use it like some kind of sword hydra coming out of your body. It's really fucking cool. Really, really interesting. Now that's an end game tier item, to be fair, but still it's really cool. And there's the onerous earrings, which come up somewhat more frequently in these games. They're earrings that let you talk over a long distance. They're essentially a phone in a medieval world, which is really nice.
It's always useful. It's always a needed utility.
Gives you a lot of interesting capabilities. But yeah, I legitimately don't like games that throw too many good items or too many magic items at you in general. I feel like when you find a magic item, it should be a special moment, and it should be something that is good enough for you to always consider using it. You know, even if it doesn't exactly match what you do, it offers some capability that can enhance your gameplay to some degree. Like, maybe that's unavoidable when it comes to weapons, right? Maybe you have a certain weapon preference you would like to have, but a lot of other types of magic items I think would be really nice.
The bit that needs to make up for it, because I think for a game like Anima, that level of loot works best because you have so many other avenues to do insane cool shit. Yeah. And so, like, in a game like Pathfinder with the loot, like, there is times where you find a weapon that's like, holy shit, this is nuts. Or like, this artifact is insane, like, with what it can do. And there's some that are punchy and fun. Or they just enable your character so well. And yeah, it's a bit more common, but the difference is, like, in Pathfinder, it's much more restrained. So the item that goes hard for your character can go really hard because it's like, it feels almost like the game is giving you a little bit of an unfair bonus, even though it's balanced in. And so it feels cool. Like, I had some pretty fun artifacts for my wizard that just made my magic better and like gave me more slots and made me just like, I wasn't wasting as many slots. That was great. Or just the things I needed were like juiced. Like, I was really good at recall knowledge by the end of that game. It was insane. But like in Anima, it's the like, oh shit, this weapon is nuts. But the trade-off is that it's super rare. And so, like, I think that is another trade-off that needs to be considered with item balance is the items, are they in the game to offset and like give you bonuses because the core actual class stuff isn't? Or is it just like a nudge in a fun direction, like have fun bud, like a slap on the ass as you run past? I think Anima leans more into that one of like, the weapons are nuts. A lot of them have some big trade-offs they have to deal with, but like
some of them,
you're doing some crazy shit, like a 9-sword symbiote.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Doom Controller has a lot of drawbacks I didn't mention. Like,
oh yeah, like, there are some that like really nuts ones where it's like, and there's a trade-off, which can add some more fun to your character. But like in Anima, it doesn't feel like it's designed around. You get the fun toys with your items. You get the fun toys, and then hey, what's up? Here's an extra bonus. And then Pathfinder is like, well, you kind of need these items to do it. Like it is necessary for it.
Well, yeah. And I don't know. I wish more games, like old Pathfinder did this actually pretty well. They had masterwork. You know, finding a masterwork weapon was good because it was like another +1 type thing. There were just like good quality weapons, right? And then magic weapons, like good quality weapon that can cut through steel easily, all that kind of stuff. Magic sword. This is the magma blade. You strike enemies, and not only does it do additional fire damage, but they're also your blade leaves a trail of lava behind that burns them over time. You know, kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, that sounds cool. That sounds interesting. Also, it sounds like I could use that sword to do some cool things. Funny enough, back to Legend in the Mist. I actually really liked the magic items I gave you guys for defeating the Lord of Souls in his cave. The ring and the armor and the weapon giving like some kind of cool extra effects. Like in Legend in the Mist, actually getting magic items, we haven't really played with it too much because we haven't done a fantasy type game too much. But getting magic items are really interesting because those new tags can add new context for what you can do. Devin had a ring that was like feeds on death, and you guys were in a town being attacked by raiders. Death was all around, so that ring just juiced him for that entire combat, and that's really interesting. And it's interesting as well when you think about, okay, so if we're in a fight and I kill someone, my ring is now going to start giving me bonuses, and that's actually really, really cool. And the dark miasma that the armor and the blade had, Slug could use for her dark magic, and that was also really cool. So Legend of the Mist does do items well, especially because they don't have to be associated with your themes. They add to your character as a story theme. And in Legend of the Mist more specifically, if it lets you do something else, that's really cool. If a tag adds new functionality to your character, that's actually really interesting. I was playing my Lord of the Mysteries solo play character, and I got a Beyonder artifact that gave me trap making and tracking as tags. And I was like, oh, I don't have tags that do this. So now my character has the capability of tracking people better and can make traps, you know? Like, was he really good at those things? No. But it gave him a new capacity that he didn't have before. So, you know.
I think it's a good way to offset that issue with Legend of the Mist of having like the bonus things that help flavor your character is having items kind of make up for it.
Yeah, and to be fair, right, that is something that I'm intending even for the Beast Tamer game. I mean, Booter just picked up a companion as a story theme that gave him breeder connections and all that kind of stuff, which can be really interesting narratively speaking. And there are like magic items in the setting as well that exist that allow you to do certain kinds of things, channel anima in certain ways.
Yeah.
We just haven't come to it yet because your story's just starting and we're only 5 sessions in. And that's kind of one of the bad things about, I think, trying new systems is there's a lot of interesting things in systems that you just don't normally get to in like a 10 to 20 sessioner. Because it's just something that's meant to come like later, or something that's rare that's supposed to happen like only a few times during the course of a campaign.
Yeah, I can see it. It's sadly it's that trade-off, but
yeah, I guess more succinctly, games just need to do better loot. They just need to make loot more interesting and make loot drops something players really want, because sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes in D&D, Pathfinder, whatever, there are items that are really, really cool. I also got this magic tome in D&D once that was really cool that let me store a bunch of information into it, and it was like an astrolabe type thing. It's kind of cool. I just wish that happened more, you know, more cool random drops, more magic items that, you know, you didn't feel like you needed to slot into your build. You could just have, and it does cool things for you. So.
Yeah, like I feel like that a way to balance it is definitely like you have the fun stuff, and the fun stuff doesn't like take anything. You just have it.
Yeah.
There's then the worry that like, yeah, but what if the player does like some goofy, you know, villager rail cannon shenanigans? It's like, well, then the GM should probably shut that down. But
I mean, yeah, for me, I don't feel like there's ever a situation where you can make the players too powerful, because the GM can make any power of creature or thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like, players are smashing combats too much. All right, more enemies, higher level enemies. More battlefields that require multiple like courses of action. Like if you're in a combat field, for instance, where you have a bunch of archers sitting up on cliff sides shooting your group, you need to deal with those archers or you're going to die, because there's just like so much damage coming up. The archers don't have to be strong, but because they're in a hard to reach place, it forces the players to do things, right? So just being able to kill people real quick isn't going to help with that scenario anymore. And when you get up to fight the archers, killing them faster isn't actually going to be beneficial, because they were weak and we're going to die in like a hit anyway. So, you know, there's a lot of ways GMs can work it. Now, to be fair, I do know of a variety of magic items in D&D and Anima that can break the game, because they allow you to do things that just, you know, like infinite money glitch, or do like 3 billion damage or whatever in a turn, which is going to nuke any boss really that you come across. But yeah, there's not, if you're giving them a reasonable item, right, then, you know, even if the player's stronger than they should be for their level, that's usually like you can work around. Like in Legend of the Mist, I can give you really cool items and give you things that give you a bunch of tags, and then all I have to do is, if I feel like you're not being challenged enough, just give the enemies more tags, give them more defenses or more, you know. And Legend of the Mist is also just in our game where it's like, just being a good warrior isn't enough, because sometimes you're going to fight a ghost, and what's your sword going to do against a ghost? you know?
Yeah, it's like if you can't just make the enemy stronger, add in context, because it's either that kind of thing of, oh, there's an enemy that's you're gonna have a hard time going for, or it's just like, yeah, this encounter has like an alternate goal instead of kill everything.
Yeah.
So like you have to solve that. And that solve is now, well, you can't just kill everything, which is how you can utilize weaker stuff and still make it like a harder fight.
Yeah, I mean, like, heck, Judas Priest is a really strong beast. Honestly, I think Judas Priest is probably one of the strongest beasts in our game currently. I think Cynthia's
In
beast
the party?
probably in your party, yeah.
Okay, I think in the school.
Probably in the school. I mean, you just took down number 7, of your grade anyway. Um, pretty.
What happens? He's a beast that's literally built to rush down and beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you also are a character who's very much like more orientated around combat. Like you have a third theme dedicated to helping your beast in combat, and sometimes the fourth, which is really, really nice. Cynthia's, I think, similarly strong. Devin has added a lot more utility to his beast, and Booter hasn't added too much to his. He added some mental defense, which is really good. Suzanne hasn't added a lot to her beast other than capability, which is probably going to be really handy when she gets more materials on hand. But Judas Priest is probably one of the stronger ones. But Judas Priest, big physical attacker and everything like that. And an easy way for me to make that fight really hard was to give the enemy a fire thorn like effect that forced you to either try to find some other way of hitting him or just risk it and hit him despite getting burned.
Yeah.
You know,
like there's elements like that where you can do some balancing, you can make it work. I honestly think that in the fight, Cynthia and me will be more even than like Slug might think in the moment. The Slug is already like, I think Judas Priest might clear. Like I think it will be more even. I think it'll be harder fought.
It's pretty close. I think the make or break is if Cynthia can sit down and read and make a strategy for Judas Priest, like there's a really strong chance of one-shotting him. But if you do what you've been doing, which is Judas Priest runs in and beats the ever-loving fuck out of the Jinn,
Yeah, don't let the setup happen.
Yeah, and the thing is, and like, it's gonna be fun. I legitimately do have a system for PvP. It's actually really simple too, because it's just the same thing I do with the beasts. One player declares what their beast is doing, and then the other player reacts, right? And then you alternate who's acting, who's reacting effectively in the scene. And the damage you would deal if you're the current like acting the current like character is just going to be power tags dedicated to the thing divided in half. So if you fail to stop them, automatically they're just going to deal so much harm or whatever to your creature. So
yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, the world is really set up to have multiple creatures, because beasts in general I feel are really suited to have a lot of like, I need a setup, so then you need something to cover the setup. Which means I'll at some point probably need to just get a setup creature, which I've been considering. Like, all right, what's a cool stand power I could come up with and attach it to a monster.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, there's also just monsters that can cover weaknesses or strike certain types of beasts that are hard for your beast to hit. Like, Judas Priest would struggle against a ranged flying beast.
Yes. I don't have a way to deal with that.
And like a ghost-like beast would also be really hard. You need some way to, and that's the fun thing in the setting, right? Is even someone who's very strong as a tamer can be beaten if they don't have, or they go up against someone who's like a bad match. So like having multiple beasts, having allies, all that kind of stuff is valuable, because there's a lot of ways that you can lose, So and honestly, you know what? To kind of end our chat here for the last like 10 minutes or so. That's another thing I really wish more TTRPGs in general did. Make more solutions for winning fights or solving puzzles. I mean, solving puzzles is a little bit easier, but winning fights, I'm tired of just do damage being kind of the default that always works and is always good, because it makes fights literally boring. Legend of the Mist has taught me fights are boring in other TTRPGs most of the time, because in Legend in the Mist, context matters. So what you can do, what you can't do, legitimately is reflected in the fight. And the fight, you can't anticipate how a fight goes unless you know everything that like everyone is capable of. And even then, the players can use creative solutions to change the battlefield and add new context that can make it, you know, more likely for them to succeed. Like Devin in his fight with the drowsy type monster, using the icy breath to create an ice fog that made it harder for him to see, was a really good idea, and was not something that his creature was like built to do, but he had some smart thinking, and that really made the fight a lot easier for him. So, you know, more active like combats, more enemies that need to be handled in specific ways, and honestly designing your game to attack in different ways, because even Path of Exile, even though like Path of Exile is definitely a game that's like do as much damage as possible is always the best option, there's certain levels of play where there are certain enemy types that are really hard to beat because like they have a high resistance to your main type of damage, and it benefits you to have other skills that can help get around that. You know, if you're an elemental caster, you want to have curses that reduce their elemental protections so that you can do that damage. Or if you're a melee character, having armor break for enemies that are heavily armored is really, really good. Or, you know, converting your damage to a different element type to get around it is also, excuse me, got hiccups, really good.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just have to come up with it. Come up with whatever would best fit in this. Would be a character arc for him, because he's very much in the like, unless it's a specific thing that he sees interest in, he just doesn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. And my first thought is like, I'll find my Hierophant green. I'll find a way to do a cool ranged with utility. Because I just need, I'll need something that's, I think, in like kind of goofy and fun. Because if I have like a big rush down, like beat 'em up, I want something a bit more like weird concept power.
Yeah. Well, and you know, as I said before, don't forget, he is an angel. He has angel-like abilities in addition to punching and slowing down time.
He's just not gonna like bless stuff, you know? He's not gonna be like, I bless you. Because I could do that, or I could punch it really hard.
Yeah. Oh, and you also have another element you can potentially add to him to allow him to do more stuff as well.
I'm thinking of doing Spirit, because I like the idea of... I'm okay with his only weakness is that he can't fly, but I like the idea that he can hit weird things and like choke slam a ghost. And partially because he's Spiritish, so then he has access to like different weird powers.
Yeah, and that matches with Angel really well.
There's a part of me that I think would be really fun to have him like, to have him able to like obscure his form in some way too, as well as the fact he's stupid fast. Because the idea that you lose track of him and then he's behind you, like punching you in the head.
Yeah. I mean, so like adding space to her beast is super interesting because space can do so many interesting things. So it's just about your imagination, right? But like there's no right answer.
No, my first thought with space is again, because I'm reading part 4 right now, is just making the hand, because I love the power and like how cool it is that he just like stands at you, makes a hand movement, and then suddenly you're like thrown towards him. It's like a really fun power of like manipulating space. Like literally just like, I'm not manipulating space as an outer space, I'm manipulating the space between us, or the space I am from you, because later he just eventually uses the power to fly.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, in the Tamers game, space is the dimensional space, not outer space, as an element. So
Yeah, there's just like there's ways you can interpret, I think, the element in like pretty
Sure.
wide ways.
I mean,
I
Spirit
gotta
does a lot of weird stuff, so you know.
Oh yeah, like that's what happens when you have an imaginary kind of thing. I gotta come up with fun avenues for time manipulation. It's like I will eventually learn to stop time. I'm going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, you know, and it's you know, one of the rare abilities for a reason, because like if you have the ability to stop time, how mechanically it would work in the game is you're applying a time status to an enemy, but how would they resist that? Right? It's kind of like spirit damage in a lot of ways. There's not a lot of obvious things that can just negate stopping time, so the enemy will have less ability to stop time, and that'd be the thing that, you know, would make a time beast really, really strong. Same thing with space. You know, space is just like, okay, but if I can like expand the space the creature's in without affecting anything outside of like a 5-foot radius, where the creature is effectively half a mile away in all directions from that spot where it is, anywhere like inside that zone, you create this kind of scenario where it's like this creature can no longer move because effectively he's moving, but it's so fractionally small distance he's making in that little 5-foot square he's in that you know, it doesn't make a difference.
You can just make Gojo's Infinity.
You can just make Gojo's Infinity.
You could do that. You can manipulate a lot of goofy stuff. Like whenever I'm thinking of, all right, what time manipulation is it? All I can think of in my head is like, well, thankfully, like 3 JoJo villains in a row had time powers. So it's just what direction, Western Man, do you want to stop time? 4 actually. Do you want to stop time, reverse time, skip time, or speed time? Which do you want?
Yeah, and you know, a crazy thing you could do too is you could do like a regeneration type time effect. You can just be like, oh yeah, no, my creature goes into like a half-second stasis where he just rested for, you know, 5 days, and
it's that, or just reverse him to his state before he got hit.
There's that too. And the thing is all you have to do mechanically, is why I love this game so much, is it's just like a healing ability, right? You just apply your tags against your current injury level, and then you heal that much based on how much you got over. And if you have enough bonus, you can do extra feat, where it's instant, right? Like you get to act again because you healed in a fraction of a second, and then you get to keep going. So
yeah, good old Judas Priest bites the dust.
Yeah. And as well, right, when you develop spirit arts, like full-on spirit arts, because you have a time creature, you can use time abilities. You could as a spirit art give yourself, like, you slow down time from your perspective to think and like form a plan, and then instantaneously like apply it.
That'd be hype as hell.
Right, and you can do it in the system because all you have to do is you just apply all your slow time stuff, save 2 tags for extra feat so that you can do it effectively instantaneously, and then whatever other power you have remaining, you just apply. And the thing is, it's really hard for an enemy to stop that because they'd have to stop the time for you, like the time effect for you going off. So it's almost unstoppable. You just have a free moment to think whenever you wanted to.
Yeah, like, it is the fun bit, because it's what happens when I'm making Stoner Jotaro. And the fun element, it's like, man, getting to Jotaro's level is sick, because I get a lot of, like, random TikToks about it or anything, and it's extra fun reading through the manga. There's a lot of discussion constantly of, because it's ever since the Jotaro, the JoJo and JJK fandom had a weird, like, intersection because of part 7 dropping,
right?
And then part 7 being like, yeah, by the way, Johnny Joestar is like fucking insane with like what he can actually do,
right?
He doesn't look like it. There's been a lot of discussion of like, well, what about this character fighting Jotaro? He clears. And then the concept is always like, it's the dumb power scaling of like, well, Jotaro's only wall level or small building level. like, sure, I guess, if you blow up a city and blow up a wall, but if you're doing that to a guy, it kills them the same. But,
Right.
like, the element that I think is fun is Jotaro as a character is so cool because he's treated as a force of nature in the series. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Jotaro is an entity that you have to plan around. And
Right.
because the scary part isn't just that, oh, his ability is like the strongest. It's that Jotaro has the most experience of anybody in the room. He's been doing this for like 30 years. He's honed his stand to be very good. But the other part that's scary about him is, which I think a lot of people ignore when it comes to anything combat-wise, is how actually intelligent of a person he is.
Yeah.
He is able to come up with a plan in a literal split second and, like, strategize and put something forward. And, like, that element, I think, is really important for a character. And I like that Legend of the Mist lets you embody that concept of, I am a guy who has a powerful ability, but I also can strengthen it by being intelligent with it.
Yeah, well, and that's the fun thing about Legend of the Mist is creativity is literally the limit, and it's not like the players can do broken things, right? Because sure, maybe me giving you time powers is strong because what can resist time abilities, but there are enemies who also have time abilities in this setting, or space abilities which can intersect with time. And then there's also just like the spiritual element, like the kind of like nebulous spiritual element where sometimes tamers can just reduce the effects of certain types of abilities due to the strength of their own spirit.
Also, like, there's the other aspect that's still it of sure, well, you can stop time, but like you still can't hit them. Like, if I'm fighting a flying enemy that's super mobile and I stop time, I can stop time when it swoops down. But if they're like ranged mobile like that, I mean, I could stop time, but it's still not doing anything.
Well, yeah, and
there's also those situations.
And mechanically, the game allows you to do all these kinds of things, like, because it's not just like, I just stop time. It's, do you stop time fast enough? Do you stop time, and can you do something in that amount of time to avoid getting damaged? Because you could use stopping time to, like, avoid getting shot by arrows, right? But that's only if you stop time fast enough before you're shot by the arrow. So that's what the whole dice check is for. Like, how much time stopping ability versus, arrow speed ability.
Yeah, like, you can stop time, but, like, you have, like, I mean, it's the JoJo way of it again. Like, there's a lot of situations where it's, I could stop time right now, but one, it is, like, physically exhausting and draining to do it, which is why the only person who could spam it is a fucking vampire. But, like, there's a lot of moments where he's like, yeah, sure, I can stop time, but I still have to make it to him in 6 seconds and then do the damage, which I can do one or the other, because that's, like, not a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, like, that's also the element, is you can stop time, and there's just a lot of moments where it's still not going to help you. Like, defensively, that's the application, but you're still dealing with, like, you are a person with, like, human reaction speed. You can have good reaction speed, but, like, some shit, like, if someone shoots you, you have to, that's, like, pretty instantaneous. That shit moves fast.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you're not aware of a thing happening, and like, as long as it's some kind of conscious effort, right? And there's a lot of things, like, right, at the end of the day, Legend of the Mist works based on, do we agree that this is how this generally works? And then the game provides a really good framework for, like, allowing it. Like, you can only be stronger than the other person by how many extra tags you get to roll over them in a particular action or scenario, right? If they have a lot of tags too, like, it's a lot more even. It's a lot more close. I genuinely really liked Judas Priest versus Jan the Fire General yesterday, because they're both close range angels with very different like, attack patterns and methods, and it was a legitimately really close fight at the end of it. And I like how he was using a spear, which was outranging your fists, and so you got in close as an effect, which is really good. And you're like, yes, I got him. And then he's just like, my power isn't having a spear, I can conjure weapons, and then striking you with a katana at close range. Like, it's an anime moment, right? And it's so fun that it happens that way.
Yeah, it's the push and pull of the ha, I got you. What? Impossible.
Right.
I lied. I mean, that's all the it's the description of JJK I like, the Indie Universe one, of talking about how the sorcerers are con artists, because the fights aren't always determined by like who's the strongest. It's also how well can you lie and like bluff and make shit up in the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the best fight, bar none, because I haven't seen the other seasons, is fucking Boogie Woogie's introduction. I love the moment of just, by the way, I lied. I could actually swap you two. Is like such a fun moment.
Yeah. I mean, Boogie Woogie is like the perfect ability to just mind fuck people, because it's so impossible to adapt to.
Yeah, like the moment you adapt to it, he can do something fuckier with it. Like it's a really fun ability of like, how do I give a smart, like pretty simple thing to a very martial character?
Yeah.
And like it's a fun, also because JJK is just absolutely god tier at having the 2v1s, the 2v1 jumping.
Yeah, I love the fact that all the good guys do the jumping in the series. It's really great.
Yeah, just jump the dude, and it's like, fight back! And it looks like getting their ass beat. It's very fun.
Things aren't always as they appear to be. Well, it's so funny you say that, because that's literally the current Pathfinder like thing we're playing in my wife's game, where we're like we're in the realm of like this demon thing, and it keeps like altering our perception or doing some kind of hypnosis. So like we just don't trust anything we see, because it's all been illusions up until this point. So but yeah, and to tag back to what I was talking about, more TTRPGs just need more fun and unique ways of handling scenarios. I think too many games unfortunately go down the route of, okay, we mechanically made this thing where everyone has their axis of power, right? But that axis of power isn't too particular. It can apply in most scenarios, so no player feels bad in this scenario. And then what happens is every combat just turns into a slugfest of who can do the most damage, because at the end of the day, players are going to do the most efficient thing, and there's no reason to do anything else, because if you're better at that slugfest than the enemy, why not do that? You know, why have a bunch of strategy and ability when you're just going to win anyway? So
yeah,
you know, like if the solution to the problem is going to be simple, then the players are going to do the simple solution. That's just how it is. Mostly in a combat scenario, but you know, if it's a simple solution, the players are going to take this simple answer. That's why you got to make your game not have simple solutions. You got to make fights into even a light puzzle. Even if something is just, it makes players change what they do based on the context of the fight. That would be more interesting than honestly what happens most of the time in games like D&D, or in games like Pathfinder, or in a lot of games, if I'm going to be honest. You know, if you can just shoot and kill an enemy, that's what players are going to do, right? They're going to shoot and kill the enemy. They don't have to do anything extra. At least in Legend in the Mist, it's really fun to add context to certain kinds of actions and abilities that are actually meaningful. You're in a gun shootout in Legend in the Mist, for instance. You can create cover and hide behind that cover, and that cover, if the GM allows, can prevent you from being shot as long as you're behind it, allowing you to do things behind cover. And if the enemies want to rush you, well, then that action is something you can react to and shoot them at that time. It creates these interesting moments, right, where the player has to really think about what they're doing, especially because also in Legend in the Mist, actions are simultaneous, right? The enemy is doing something, and you are either doing something as well or reacting to what they are doing. And so that makes combat feel more like an actual clash, rather than, all right, my turn, do damage, his turn, do damage, you know? I'm a fanboy. You don't have to listen to anything I say. I just like the game. All right, that's all I'm talking about. From a action perspective, I like a game that offers me a lot more things to think about in combat that are not just like annoying math and are more just like narratively contextual. Genesis does this too. I'll add, Genesis does this too, because the Genesis system is designed with the idea of you choose a course of action, and then the dice tell you how that goes. Because I don't think Genesis actually has like a combat mode. It might, but like I don't think it actually has a separate combat mode. I think most of the game plays in Genesis the same way, which is the Star Wars system.
Yeah, I would honestly agree with that.
But
as much as I love that system.
That's gonna be it for us today. Anything you want to leave us off with, Alex, before we head out?
Yeah, if you want some fun lore content, I got 2 things in the works that'll come out by the end of this month. It's over on my channel, Glue Boy. I got a video that's going to be a stream highlight / just cut down version of a Vampire Clan tier list. And then the next one will be a compilation on Mage the Ascension, which will go out when I'm like briefly out of town. So it will be a nice like position. I can put it right at the end of the month. So go sub for that. Later on, I'm going to be making a video on Demon the Fallen, like a big overview. So if you want that too, go check it out.
As for me, I know I keep saying this, my mom is moving to town. A lot more came up than I thought, but there, you know, it's still the plan. She's planning on being up here more full time by the end of this month / early January. So I do want to make content. I'm going to be making content here real soon on some stuff. I've been thinking about it a bunch. I just need the time. And thank you for everyone being out here. Politically Mistaken, Mariah White, and Bubba Zarkomosalink. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Hopefully there won't be too many I say hopefully there won't be too many more disruptions to our table talks, and Alex is gonna be gone in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't seen my family in a while.
That's fair.
I gotta.
I'm not blaming you, and I've been the reason why we haven't had table talk for the last 2 weeks. So
shit happens. So
well, yeah, the 2 weeks ago I had a lot of dental work, so I wasn't in any mood to talk. But yeah, hopefully things will balance out. A new Pathfinder book's coming out soon too, Impossible Magic, and I might purchase that and then make some videos on it. I could always ask for a free book, but I don't feel right doing so when I haven't really been making a lot of Pathfinder content lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I'll be looking into that. I'll obviously be talking about Legend in the Mist. So we'll be doing some Lancer videos, and I will do a Lancer like composite video for all the mechs I've talked about up until this point. I gotta redo the Traxicum. I know the Lancer people are really upset about the Traxicum. I will redo that video. But yeah, that's gonna be it for now. So thank you all so much for watching, and I guess we'll go ahead and say goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.